Everyone can rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We would like to welcome everyone to the Egg Harbor City Regular Council meeting for February 24th, 2022. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Egg Harbor City Common Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette News, the press, and the Current due to the COVID-19 pandemic and social distancing requirements. The meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website and channel 97. Mayor, roll call, please.
Mayor Petty. Here. Brown. Dash. Heist. Here. Hesse. Here. Septon. Here. Timbers.
Here.
Trithol.
Here.
Wright. Ritchie.
Here. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2022 regular council meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody from the public have comment on any item on the agenda? All right, Mayor, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Good evening, everyone. One of my favorite things to do as mayor is to recognize people for good works that they've done. I have someone here tonight that I previously recognized. So tonight, here, can you hear me?
No, just the camera, so you're on there.
Is that good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Can you mute the-
So throughout America's history, African Americans have made many significant contributions that have helped to make our great nation what it is today. Sadly, many of their contributions have gone relatively unnoticed and untold, and unrecognized. This holds true somewhat for Egg Harbor City also. Therefore, this evening, in honor of Black History Month, I would like to recognize two local individuals who are history makers, trailblazers, if you will. As mayor, I am proud to recognize the both of them tonight as the first African Americans to be elected by the people, one male and one female, to the office of Egg Harbor City Common Council. Mrs. Ina Duran McCall and Mr. Clifford Mays Jr. If you could both come up, I would greatly appreciate it, but please watch your step. Come on over here, guys. I want to make sure everybody can see you. Flip, you want to come around here? Right? Okay. So there is something special about being the first. Yes? And you should be both be proud of your accomplishment. Ina Duran was the first African-American woman to serve on Egg Harbor City Common Council. Ms. Duran filled an unexpired term on council in 2007 and 2008, then went on to be elected for 2 more terms, serving on council another 6 years, from 2009 to 2014. Ina is a graduate of Rutgers University. She was a casino employee for nearly 4 years and went on to teach in the Egg Harbor City Community School, or Egg Harbor City School District. At the time it was Rittenberg, and now it's the Egg Harbor City Community School. Clifford Mays Jr. became a councilman in 1968. He was the first African-American man to serve on Egg Harbor City Common Council. Mr. Mays served on council for many years, only not being on council for 9 years between the years 1968 and 2017, making that 40 years on city council. In his professional career, Cliff was the director of Atlantic County Action on Now Center, the deputy director of DCA Human Services, manager for the Atlantic City Expressway Parking Authority, the director of Human Services for Vineland Development Center, and the human relations director for the Church of the Living God, his father's church here in Egg Harbor City. Both of you are true role models to our youth and young adults alike. Thank you for your service to our community. And I would like to present you with these plaques that will be hung here in City Hall and one to go home with you. And I would also like to pursue getting your pictures in the Egg Harbor City Community School on the wall that Cliff helped found. I'm gonna just call it the Wall of Fame. You can call it whatever you want. So, Ina, for you. And that says first elected African-American city councilwoman in Egg Harbor City. And Cliff. First African-American man elected to Egg Harbor City Council. At this time, I'd like to ask you if you would like to say anything. If not, you don't have to.
No, I just feel proud that the city took the time to recognize Cliff and I really feel honored, and I was very happy to serve on council and to teach for 29 years here in Egg Harbor City.
And she's
Thank you.
probably everybody's kid in Egg Harbor City.
Almost.
Cliff.
Yeah, first of all, it was a pleasure when I first met Ina. Same since I knew when she first came over here, we used to talk. And one thing I say about her, you could be honest. We could be honest with each other. We knew what had to be done with everyone, the whole community. Okay, and I was happy to serve with her because you could always talk facts with her. Okay, we both have high rolling personalities. Both of us do. We do. But that was great about her when I first met her. She came to Egg Harbor City. So I was happy to serve with her. And I was always happy to serve with the city of Egg Harbor City. Because when I came up as a child, okay, Egg Harbor City, you could speak your mind. That's what I liked about it. And I always had a lot to speak in my mind. But my point I make is, with my family, when they came here in 28, what we're speaking of Black history, the way they came in 28, it was unfortunate what was taking place in America. But I am happy they came to Egg Harbor City in 28. I go on a long story about that. But once again, I'm happy. I love this plaque. I like that. I never seen that part before. But once again, Mayor, I'm happy. And the first time when you first got on council, okay, when you were sitting on that side, I was on this side. And we could say what we want, what we felt. And that's what I liked about you. And you always will get my support. I don't play games. I'm straight up. You get my support, but I'm happy for this. I'm just happy to be here tonight for everyone here. And this is something else. I love
You guys can take that one home with you.
Oh, we can
Thank you
take these
so
home?
much.
Take that. I have 2 more here that will stay in city council room for perpetuity.
Okay, come
No, no,
back.
no, no.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
Get one right here.
All right, let's see this one.
Ready? Look here. Okay. That's good.
Miss Meg.
Casey doesn't share. Do you want to take your mask off? So you get a better picture?
I can take it off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
Now
would
we
agree,
have to
yeah.
get it on.
I'll have a better one than that. Thank you.
Thank
Here,
you.
Wait,
come back
so
here one
Mike,
second.
One more.
There we go. That's good.
Good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you.
And don't feel obligated, you guys, to stay. You're welcome to scoot out. I know the weather's bad this evening, but if you'd like to stay, feel free to do so.
No drinks?
Mayor, the floor is still yours for your report.
So I was unable to make the meeting, the last meeting, but I would like to say that emergency management, the police department, public works, and our staff at City Hall did an outstanding job during our snow emergency. Everything went very smoothly. A few bugs here and there, but everything's worked out. And for once in, I guess, ever, we were all on the same page and we all communicated to make sure that things got done during the storm. Also, I get a best grant for $1,083. Just a couple things to note. June 14th is the Cedar Creek Senior Picnic at the lake. June 16th is the fireworks. July 16th, I'm sorry. And just a couple other things. We did receive a $600,000 grant for the Phase 3 project for safe streets to transit. And I guess Ryan will talk a little bit more about that and what direction it's going in. So we're very fortunate to have that. I did receive a letter also from ACUA that accordingly to, because they were having issues with service and shortages due to COVID-19, they are giving us a credit of $12,688.38 towards our yard waste services in 2021. So Rick sent that to me. I thought I'd pass it along. Also in the future, a little bit in the future, May 7th is the first Saturday in May, and that's always when the cleanup day is. The past 2 years, we have held it remotely via email, and it was very successful, but nowhere near as successful as our cleanups, where we normally pick up 3 tons of trash and recycles. So we're 6 tons of trash and recycles behind. Since the past 2 years, we really didn't collect that much. It was just counted by bags, but everybody did do a good job. So this year we're going to try the live one. Again, I'm not sure that how much participation there's going to be, but I'm hoping that we'll have a great turnout, and I think it's something much needed to get our community barbecue and all that jazz and spirit back up after COVID-19. And then I guess the one last thing I wanted to mention, there is a program called the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. And this year I did 2 campaigns. One was the house lighting contest, and also at the suggestion of the Senior Walk Club and others, we do a Mayor's Wellness Walk, which is pretty much finished now. Keith has marked all the whole route out. We have a map, and we will also have some signs, and hopefully once I finalize everything, I'll have it on our official Facebook page and Instagram if anyone would like to walk it. It's almost 3 miles, so you can do as little or as more as the most you want. You can cut it short if you want, but for the most it's like 2.85 miles. So it's a good way to get out and walk around. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Moving into committee chair reports. Councilwoman Hesse, we'll start with you with Sustainable Lake Harbor City.
The Sustainable Lake Harbor City meeting was held via Zoom February 22nd. Annette Galloway introduced the first speaker, Colleen Ella, from Solar Landscape. Solar Landscape is a New Jersey solar developer. Community solar projects are approved by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. and a part of the Clean Energy Act. The program benefits municipalities by lowering residents' utility expenses, preventing tons of carbon emissions from entering the atmosphere, and providing workforce development. Community solar provides access for all. Both owners and renters have access to the benefits of solar energy without the need for solar panels on their roof. Residents would save 20 to 25% on their monthly electric bill using this program. The next speaker was Michael Sheridan, a resident who created a proposal for an Egg Harbor City Nature Trail. The trail is located within the city lake park. He would like to mark, clean up, and deter ATVs by placing signage and other deterrents along the 3-mile trail. Michael was also asking for guidance on how to move forward with this plan. Next, the mayor's wellness campaign was talked about, and the map was introduced. Then also the tobacco-free communities were discussed as well. Point of sale for tobacco products was one action mentioned. The bag at New Jersey campaign was mentioned. As a reminder, starting May 4th, bring your own bag begins. Pet Parenting 101, there are new pet waste stations in NPP area. Also, a rabies clinic will be held on March 28th from 10 to 12. The grant projects were updated, the signs in Lincoln Park, tree labeling. She has taken on Sinoramic in Hamilton. Then Nanette was able to connect with Remington and Burdick for the landscape architect. And Nanette was giving a list of trees for the residents to choose from for the fall tree planting. The PSEG and community energy planning grants will be submitted in March. And the next meeting will be held on March 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilman Hess?
Yes, we do. Besides signs, what other deterrents? And have we talked to the chief of police about this?
No, this is just a proposal. He was just proposing it, and he was just, this is just the first step. So this is basically what he.
No, I'm just concerned about the other deterrents. Did he make mention about that or just something?
That was basically
Okay.
it, the signs. Well, he did actually make mention of possibly putting something, but he, it's just mentioned at this point. It isn't anything moving.
All right, moving on, Councilman Timbers, Aaron Hanfin and land use.
There's nothing before I think, Aaron had been, issue with, didn't have enough members to have a forum, and there was no language.
Thank you. Councilwoman Brown, are you on?
No.
Okay. Councilwoman Heiss.
Nothing.
Councilman Dash. Councilman Trithell, safety.
We had a meeting on the 15th, met with the fire department, police department. The mayor was there as well. Unfortunately, apologize, OEM. We'll get the EML change straightened out. So we had a good discussion about things, especially during the snowstorm. How fantastic our volunteers and our paid police department is. Responding to calls. EMS was staged. They did a fantastic job talking, communication with DPW. Great job, Keith. They were able to get trucks out, ambulances out, and everything else to provide, good services. Things were discussed. I'm not gonna, the chief of police says that's her report. So, that's her prerogative on that. But it was a very good meeting. Things were discussed, especially the need for a ladder truck that's almost, I was in graduated high school and I'm 50 now when it was purchased. So that's 1989. It's due. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a finance and redevelopment committee meeting. We discussed LED lighting upgrade for the street lights, cost analysis on it. We have to revisit it, cost and everything. Energy project, Capital Direct, and process for cannabis, which several of these items will be touched on with our either engineer report or city solicitor's report. Meg, anything from Jeff?
Nothing.
All right, moving on, Chief. Your report, please.
All right, so it's been a busy 2 weeks for the police department since we last met at the last council meeting. Just some general numbers. We had 1 aggravated assault, 1 burglary, 3 reports of fraud, 1 recovered stolen motor vehicle, 2 thefts, 8 motor vehicle accidents, 9 traffic stops, 6 arrests, a slew of alarms, a lot of crime prevention activities, a few domestics, 13 EMS incidents, 327 property checks. We did have an officer at a 3-day training during these last 2 weeks. We had a staff meeting earlier today. And in terms of special events and things that happened, there was a Coalition for Safe Community Planning meeting for an upcoming community cookout in June. Chef Andre, who does a meal delivery service, he reached his 10,000 meal mark yesterday, and we celebrated that at Wittenberg Manor. Things that have been keeping us particularly busy. Cedar Creek High School and the community school have both had incidences of disorderly conduct at evening basketball games. At Cedar Creek, we did have a few citations issued. There was a rather large fight between some adults and juveniles. We have since been working with the high school. We've had more officers present there at the games. The community school, we also had a disorderly conduct incident with some students at the basketball game. I know Councilman Wright is not here, but while I was at a game last night or the night before, he expressed his gratitude that we have been out there more frequently since that incident, and there has not been any incident since then. Police department has been working with code enforcement regarding the excessive use of municipal services, specifically with a property located on Philadelphia Avenue and trash removal. So a citation was issued. We were able to reach that threshold of, I forget how many qualifying calls within 60 days, but because it is a multi-dwelling resident, we had to have quite a few. So we did coordinate with code enforcement and were able to see that we had reached that threshold. Additionally, we've had some issues with some of the college student housing in town. And we are working with code enforcement along with Stockton, who is aware of what is going on to handle those nuisance properties. We did have a shooting this week at the Philadelphia Village Apartments. Fortunately, no one was injured, and we are currently investigating it. It is a multi-jurisdictional investigation. We have received a lot of information from local organizations and then also from other police departments. One thing that I have addressed with the management of the Philadelphia Village Apartments is the possibility of having police details out there, and the manager expressed interest in it and was forwarding that up her chain. I also talked to her about adding 3 more cameras to their system that focus and solely on the roads that enter the Philadelphia Village. They do have really great cameras, which they have been very helpful with, but a lot of that is just on the interior. And in order to follow where people are going or when people are coming in and out, they're going to look into that. We've also been busy with a few domestics that have been a little bit more drawn out. I can't really go into it, but we've been busy. So, anybody have any questions or concerns that need addressing?
I just have a question regarding the cameras at the apartments. Who would be responsible for that?
Well, the reason that I reached out to the management there is it will be part of their system. If they're not willing to do it, then perhaps that is something that we can possibly explore, but they already have the poles, the systems. For them, it would just be a matter of adding 3 more cameras.
And when we got them to put the cameras up, I guess probably maybe over 8 years ago, they were very cooperative.
Yes.
So I don't think you're gonna have a problem with that at all.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
Everyone good?
I just thank you and the department for a great job. Keeping us safe.
Let's check.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Jody, CFO report. All right. Meg?
Nothing.
All right. Angela? See?
Nothing tonight.
All right. Hey, Ryan?
I gotta be the one.
So, 300 and 400 block of Chicago Avenue, we finally got our modification of project limits approved. So we'll have to now submit a design proposal for the 100 and 200 blocks, which that money's gonna stretch back into 300 and 400 blocks, so we can work both on them over there. The 300 and 400 block, or the 300 block of St. Louis Avenue and the 400 block of 6 Terrace, that was 2020 NJDOT municipal aid funds. That project will start on March 7th. Contractors, whether they have notice to proceed for that, whether they start the 7th, 8th, or 9th, they'll be starting by Wednesday is their plan. So they'll be passing out notices to residents and all, but once you see that starting, that's what that is. Atlantic Avenue, again, we're still expecting construction to begin in April, early May. As the mayor noted, we got a $600,000 grant to extend the path that we've not yet built. We only asked for 601,000 and we got 600, so it's pretty much fully funded.
Covered that dollar.
Yeah, I know, well, 1,000, but yeah, I mean, all things considering, that's pretty close. It will run on Atlantic Avenue from New Orleans Avenue to Bremen, and then up Raymond Avenue from Atlantic to Route 30. It's again Safe Streets and Transit funding. That path connects to the train station, so we're connecting the train station with bus stop, which is exactly what we're trying to do. And then for the city, provides a nice pedestrian corridor there. There is a lot of pedestrian traffic now, no pedestrian facilities. So it sort of solves a problem for the city. While things are ongoing, we're just checking out on the site work as that comes up. For Route 30, the DOT project, we got a sort of last call email a couple weeks ago that said, report all issues by X date. So we had an inspector go out and develop a 6-page list of things that we'd like to see addressed. So I forwarded that to DOT and they said a lot of it they already had, but they'll incorporate everything else. LED streetlights came up. Jody and I think, are going to try to meet with Bill Edwards because they have multiple programs and they each have different costs, different ongoing costs, and different electricity costs as you're going through. So we're going to try to develop a return on investment calculation for each option, and then we can bring it back and see, the best sense for the city. That's really it. That's the critical stuff.
Brian, did you mention the water buildup still that we have going on, even though I know they paved it and think it went away, but it really didn't?
Yeah, so we have, what are you at Liverpool or London or?
Well, there's several.
Well, yeah, okay. So that I wasn't sure what you were getting
I
at.
think I did.
There's a whole bunch of depressions, and our inspector went out the day after the rain, so we got pictures of puddles and called out low spots. There's a whole bunch of areas they're gonna have to come back and probably infrared and add a little material because there's little bird baths like right before the inlets, some deeper than others. But yeah, those are definitely on our list.
Any questions for Ryan?
Ryan, did they, 30 and, Ryan, they mentioned about the jump.
The launch.
The launch, to help keep that.
There's a pretty good
Slow down.
Okay.
when you cross over.
Well, I honestly, I don't know if that's on the list. It's 6 pages
Okay.
long.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I'll bring that up if it's not already on the list.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Okay, good to know.
It's fair.
And I think there was a complaint too on Raymond that the signs weren't coordinated properly or something like that. The don't walk signs.
Oh, yeah, so that's,
Is that on there? too?
yeah, so all of the push buttons, some of them still have the plastic on them, none of them seem to be working. So yeah, he went and tested every push button and even called out like plastic on the 88 ramps and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's literally just in field notes, it's not like a detailed thing that I forwarded.
And then the Wawa corner, are we gonna be able to move forward with getting the proper
Yeah, so they're,
signage that no one gets hit by a car?
well, so they're still waiting to try to get the traffic, or not the traffic, it's the lighting in between Philadelphia Avenue and St. Louis Avenue. They're still planning on making those like full pedestrian upgrades there. That we're at the punch list phase for everything else. They still are planning on coming back and doing that, whatever they do. They do not want to do signage before they.
No, I get it, but I don't want to say, hey.
Yeah, no. The last time I asked about it, the lights are still in process. Next step is rolling with the signage instructor. Sure.
Any other questions for Ryan? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to introduce Mr. Keith Adams, Supervisor of Public Works, for his report.
Thanks.
The second meeting in every month.
All right.
Every other.
I will say that Route 30, just to go off of Ryan, I'm so glad this is coming to an end. We probably get 4 to 5 streets on calls a week about Route 30 that we're missing from the job site. So when I did see the last call, my first phone call was to Ryan going, you know, he goes, I already have someone there. So I was like, I'm so ready for it to end. So I will try to keep it brief. I'm just going to try to go through a summary of the 2 departments. I'll start out with the utility department. One of the biggest things we've had going on is our lead service line inventory, which is like, it's been a project. So as of now, it's submitted to the DEP. We had to submit, or we actually had to send 16 certified letters out to the public based on a possibility of a lead line or an unknown lead line. So, and then obviously we have our work coming up for us that we have to go out and investigate 300 and some services, basically dig up, spot it, identify it, and move forward from there. So this is a working template through the DEP, so it's ongoing, thankfully, because, you know, wouldn't be great if it just ended, but, you know, so that's where we're at with that. So for utility department, going back from 122 to 222, we had 49 calls for service, water, sewer, emergencies going through there. We had 177 utility markout requests that were completed. We dug up and repaired 11 water boxes and 7 sewer cleanouts. We just are finishing up now. We're not completely done, but we're just finishing up our first quarter meter reading. It's coming to an end. Moving forward from there, we're continuing to work with New Jersey American as far as any requests and updates. And I know March 10th, we have a DEP spot inspection for the water side, so we're getting everything together for that. So they can be pretty invasive when they come. So this girl that's coming, she did say that she'll give me an update about 10 days out on what they're looking for, so we can kind of be prepared, which I'm thankful for that. Public Works, you'll start with snow. So somebody in this room, not to mention names, talked about snowstorms and said it doesn't snow that much anymore, but we've had 3 major storms since that conversation. So to touch on that, I know we talked and we voted on the salt deal to buy salt from Moab. It looks like they have approved it on their end and we're able to purchase at the bulk rate. It looks like we're going to be using more salt than what we anticipated from that. So instead of depleting their stock this year, I bit the bullet. Jody and I ordered some salt, and for right now, we're going to continue to use the salt set as a salt jet, so we don't get caught without having the product put down. To go into some vehicles, our F800 has been down almost 6 weeks now, 7 weeks now. It's one of our older dump trucks that we put a body on. We've been waiting 6 weeks for brake parts for it. We finally have them in, and Keith Zoom is done wrapping that up. Ray and I spent some time on one of the other trucks during the last storm, which we never really get time. We made time. Our F450 is one of the trucks that we're looking to replace the snowplow on to the tune of $8,000, something like that. We got the truck working pretty good, a lot of adjustments and finishing with it. So at this point here, we're going to move forward to save the money and not spend that, you know, for something that we don't need to replace. The salt spreader on our international, of course, the day before the last snowstorm, brought it in half, fell apart. So we did an emergency repair on that. That now, since as of last night, has been repaired. All new parts, bearings, everything's done. To go back into the vehicles, Jody had mentioned to me about a grant that we go through for an insurance company for safety reasons. So I was a nice guy. I shared part of that grant with Marcella instead of taking it on myself. But in our side of it, we originally thought we were going to get 3 backup cameras for the bigger trucks. And in doing so, we ended up getting 4. So 3 of them are completed. We're waiting for the last one to go in. And I think on your side, Marcella's side, you bought cones and safety barriers, stuff like that to start
I guess, restocking the safety trailer. So, so that is something that we needed. You know, these trucks are big, backing up in the snowstorm, it's hard to see. Also, as time goes on, as trucks go in, we're looking at deals on LED lighting to convert the old, for lack of a better term, Dukes of Hazzard style safety lights that, you know, are not visible or even serve any purpose. I think we're all the way up to this point, have all new LED bars on every truck. So it's good. So if you go down the road, you see the truck, you know, it brings attention to it. So that's being done. In the pole barn that we built right now, as of this morning, the electric is completely done in there. All the lighting's up, outlets are done. We got our inspection, all that's done. We're pretty much complete building all the shelving in there and getting ready to start transferring stuff over to that. Street sweeper is another piece of equipment that is, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. I hate to say it, but it is my favorite piece of equipment that we have because of the product that it does. It cleans, it really does a nice job when we have it. It's getting older, so when it goes down, it's costly to repair. It's timely to get parts, but you know, I think at the end of the day, you can go around and do as much as you want, but nothing really shows the overall product that you can put out by sweeping the streets and clean up. It does a lot for storm drains. It keeps everything clean. So eventually we'll look into replacing that when we find that pot of gold, but for now it's back up and running. In the last month, we've spent 3 days on storm drain cleaning, also 4 days on brush removal. So far right now, including today, we have 5 days of work in at the lake and the surrounding areas. We've pushed all the sand back out of the lake bed. We've cleaned it. We've walked the whole thing, cleaned everything. We've cleaned all the outfalls that actually come in from the roads, which we haven't done before. So all the dirt roads will actually drain into the lake now, which, you know, they were so clogged with overgrowth. We've trimmed all the way around the lake, all the vegetation back. And we also today went out and spent some time on the dam that we replaced, the secondary dam, and cleaned up with the machine on the back side of that to take away a lot of brush. I'm going to look into, I think maybe trying to get a rental, maybe even Petroff something for a week to go down alongside that exit there and clean up all the fallen stuff. I mean, we really need a machine to get back in there. You can't get stuff that by hand. So that's something we're looking into. Inspections. So Meg and I and Jackie and I have talked for months about having this inspection form for city-owned properties. Something that somebody could use as a work order, you know, if there's ceiling tiles down in this room, something like that. So we finally have a form, official letterhead. It looks pretty good. So we've done our first round of inspections. I've done some. We broke them up so everybody got used to them. I have to admit, I haven't seen all the results of the final inspections. I haven't read them yet. But in that, one of the inspections that we did was cabin 13 is what, 12, 13 out there at the lake. The bulkhead on that cabin, if we would have filled this lake this year, it wouldn't have been there next year. So we took some stock wood that we had to buy a little bit, but we did put the bulkhead back, repaired it the best that we could. We built some steps that were back there originally. You know, so for minimal costs, it's back together. I think it'll last a little bit longer. It is something eventually we'll have to look into, but for now it looks pretty good. Steps are built, the bulkhead's fixed. The whole property is cleaned up. It looks habited a little bit, so maybe there's less curious people floating around out there. And then, yes, last, I know everybody got excited when we saved $8,000 on the plow, but we're spending that. So I've talked to Donna, I've talked to Lisa, and I've had conversation with Joe and Jody. And with Jody's help, we went through what's called the Sourcewell project, Sourcewell
Contract, yeah.
contract.
National Cooperative.
So Atlantic City Cycle Center in Hamilton has quoted us a price for a side-by-side utility vehicle, which will be enclosed. We'll have heat, we'll have a windshield wiper, we'll have a snowplow, we'll have a winch. We can stop literally beating the death out of the lake golf cart at this point. And hopefully get some more time.
Fuzzy dice.
I think,
I see it too.
yeah. So I recovered the golf cart 3 times in the last storm from the bridge over there, so. So it's something that we're gonna be able to issue a PO here shortly, I guess, once we get the advertising done. So that's, what I got. So for us, progress, I'd like to say, and that's all I got.
Keith, were you able to move the Blue Barrel?
So the Blue Barrel, we went out there today. This Blue Barrel, I've moved this Blue Barrel 5 times. It's in the wrong location every time I move the Blue
We have a
Barrel.
map now.
We do have a map. So I went out there today, and of course yesterday before the little bit of rain last night, we pushed up the sand on the beach. Well, there's a lake between me and the Blue Barrel now. So we're gonna go back to the Home Depot buckets again for this year. So I have better luck next
My
year.
thought was, why not make another Blue Barrel and just leave that one there for now?
We can, I mean, they're a couple thousand pounds to get out there. So getting out there is
Make it out there, like put the
it's a
barrel.
possibility. The only thing is we're pushing we notified, I guess it's the fake for where it was. Tomorrow I have to start billing it. So,
It's just that the swimming, the ropes don't go,
oh yeah, no, I know. I mean, we moved it, this Blue Barrel and us have had.
They have it
so-
at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so, but for right now, I can't get to, I don't want to be the guy that sings tobacco in the middle of the lake. I don't want to be that guy. Yeah, exactly, yeah, so. Oh, yes, I forgot. So, we did put, our snow box that we bought for Public Works years ago. I'll say that wasn't my decision, but someone bought a snow box for Public Works. It was 12 foot wide, humongous to put on the backhoe and run around town. It's not something I was ever really interested in using, nor did I see it being the safest apparatus to run around and do snow. So that's sold. I think we paid, just grabbing numbers here, $3,800 for it.
38 or 39.
And we got 3,600 back on selling it on municipal. The 2 plows that we approved last year to replace, I think one sold for $350, one sold for $250. So overall, we're well over $4,000 back in on stuff that we weren't using. So they're scheduled to be picked up next week.
I just have a question about the lead. And when the New Jersey Water company takes over, would it be, could you kind of drag your feet a little bit for them to take it so that you don't have all this responsibility to do that?
So let me just say, and I'm not bashing the DP. I'm very friendly with the DP. DP makes you do this, that service line inventory. It's something that Governor Murphy put into place. It is very tedious and intrusive to get the knowledge out there, to get this information started. If you go into the second step of it, it is the most lackadaisical situation that you have to do. I think in our situation, we have to place one lead service line here for the next however many times. So we'll probably have to do one this summer if we can. We do have to do the investigation part. So we're probably looking at 325 services that we have to dig up between now and June. Dig down, spot them, figure out what it is, identify it, notify. So, but as far as replacing, we only have to do one a year.
Okay.
So for our unknowns right now, if that was the case, it would be over 200 years. So I don't understand why that part of it wasn't as rigorous as the first part, but I don't know the rules. So, any other questions? Or?
I can share, Jody, I emailed you a picture of the dock.
Yes.
The bulkhead, if you want to share.
So I do, Ryan does have a good point, just because the scare tax, we did send these letters out. So what the DEP considers for us to have is a lead service line is what they call lead gooseneck. So what we have is a lot of galvanized services, not a lot, we don't have a lot, I don't want to say that. We have galvanized services. When they hook a galvanized service, unlike copper or poly pipe or plastic pipe, it's not bendable. So you come out of the main with a lead gooseneck that comes down and then ties to. That in the DEP's eyes is considered a lead service line.
Right. And you can
When we find them, we get rid of them. That's been our rule. We get rid of them because you're not providing a good pressure to the house from our side. Also, if the DEP, if we know that the consumer side, the customer side is a galvanized line, that's considered, even though it's not ours, that's still considered a possible lead service line. So we do not have full complete lead service lines. We have 0 of them. So it's not like anybody has to panic and think that we're, gonna be back into the Flint again, but. So we do not have that, just to be clear, like Ryan said, I'm glad you pointed it out, because the letters they're gonna come back and we're gonna have these questions, but.
Yeah, you're gonna have some people freaking out, but it's a short lead component, it's not a lead service line.
And as we find them, it's not something we drag our feet on, we replace them anyway, so, it's just a matter of going through and finding. So if we find galvanized on our side of the curb stop, we're digging up and getting rid of it, and we're replacing the whole line. So, and which would meet their standards if we do more than 1 year. So,
Thank you.
all right,
Thanks,
thanks,
Steve.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Share that one more time, so everybody's looking at it. Did you see it? We have it too.
That's even on hers.
It's getting there.
All right, moving on to number 15, resolution, refund overpayment of property third quarter 2021 taxes for 124 Cincinnati Avenue, block 321, lot 7, for 100% disabled veteran, and the refund amount of $2,171.36. May I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown. Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. Resolution for appropriation reserve transfers. It looks more like this is DPW, S&W for DPW other expenses. May I have in the amount of $2,500, I'm sorry. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. Resolution authorizing purchasing a LED sign through a cooperative agreement with the Hunterdon County Educational Services Commission Cooperative. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. Number 18 is a resolution to reimburse Key Rec for roof replacement in the amount of $14,000. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. Moving on to 19, this is a resolution for a refund portion of electricity deposit for use of Kernsfield to South Jersey Stingers in the amount of $50. May I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. All right, number 20, we're going to open up a public hearing for ordinance number 1, 2022, an ordinance by the mayor and common council of the city of Egg Harbor, amending the city of Egg Harbor code to repeal chapter 154 and adopt a new chapter 154 to adopt flood hazard maps to designate a floodplain administrator and providing for servability and effective date. May I have a motion to open for public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All right, anybody from the public have anything to say on this ordinance? Once, twice.
I have something to go. I have a question.
Sure, say your name and the
This
rest.
is Michael Sheridan. I'm not sure if you can see me. Two things, actually. Just on my walks around the lake, I've noticed that the hunting cabin has been spruced up. I noticed like it's been cleared and new steps been put in. I'm just wondering if anyone has any info on that?
Mike, I'm sorry, this is a public hearing for an ordinance that we are introducing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem, you can address that, adopting, I'm sorry, you can address that when I open up for public comment.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. My bad.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Make a motion for the public hearing.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, may I have a motion to adopt this ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. May I also have a motion to advertise the notice of adoption in the Hampton Gazette on March 2nd, 2022? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to pay the bills.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trithol.
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. Mayor, the floor is yours for any final comments.
No final comments, thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Heist,
Nothing.
Councilwoman Sefton, Councilman Trithall,
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Timbers,
Uh,
Councilwoman Hesse.
Not at this time, thank you.
I also have nothing, so now I would like to open it up for public comment.
Motion.
So Mike, now's your time if you would like to speak.
Sure. Yeah, I was just, what I was getting at earlier is I've noticed that the hunting cabin has been spruced up quite a bit. There's new steps and there's like some gravel down. So I'm just wondering if anyone has any info on that. It looks pretty good.
That's what we just talked about, Mike. The picture of the steps was on there. You're talking about cabin 13? Yes.
Yeah, I may have missed that. So you don't need to rehash it if it's already been.
No, it's Public Works is addressing that. It's very unsafe. So the bulkhead was repaired and the trash that's been laying there for several years has been removed. So
Awesome.
we're trying to get back to renting it, but at this time, it's just not safe to do so.
Understood. Yeah, it is still in pretty bad shape, especially right around the edge of it, but it does look good. So nice work there. I guess the other issue I had, if there's any questions about the nature trail plan I've been working on, I heard a council member ask earlier about the ATV usage. I don't think you turn that as probably one of our main goals with this project. I think that's going to be really hard to stop overall. I think the main thing I would want to do there is just hopefully get some more signs up, and hopefully with people using it more and maybe some education here and there, it will just help deter the activity a bit. I think the main goal will be just cleaning up the trash and getting some signage down for trail markers. I think that would be the short-term goals that really hopefully shouldn't cost too much time or money, and just coordinating with ACUA and the yearly cleanup and seeing what we can get out of there. The big things that need to get cleaned up is the giant spool that's in the Landon Creek. It's like a farm spool. The thing's huge. Probably going to need some pretty heavy machinery to get it out of there. There's also a lot of rubble piles, and there's like some bed frames and things like that. And just from partying over the years, it just needs a real good cleanup. I think once that's done though, and then we put some markers down, I really do think people will use that anemone right from the lake parking lot, just be able to walk right there with just some basic signage. So I'm just not sure if anyone has any questions on kind of what I've been thinking.
I might, this Councilman Trithall, no, it wasn't about allowing ATV use. What my question is, in addition to signage, Councilwoman Hesse said that that you were going to use other means of deterrence. And I was just curious because of the liability issue of, bumps or kind of stuff, or chains and all that. That's what
I don't think we could, I don't think doing any of that's really a good idea. I really think just signs, and maybe because some of the roads are public right away, so I don't know if you can actually block them, but maybe on the parts that we established as an actual walking trail, you could maybe put like a ballast here or there. Most ATVs might still go right around that anyways. I think you still need to leave some access anyways for any hunters who hunt back there. I know that you can bring ATVs back legally to, to pull your deer out and stuff. So they may still need to do those type of activities. But I really just hope just by cleaning it up and having people walk the trails just with some basic signs, just the ATV riders will see that and hopefully start to realize that this part of the woods isn't really being forgotten anymore and it's getting more activity. It does seem like the signs on the north side of the lake have been successful. I've noticed that a lot of the ATVers aren't going back on those trails as much anymore. They're definitely not parking over there and setting up shop. That's for sure. So I hope that the successes that we've already seen at the lake can just be extended to this section as well. And maybe we get a quick win and get a trail going, and that may be enough. So.
Mike, I do have a question, not pertaining to the trail cleanup, but have you noticed the bicycle trails that have been going in from the industrial park to the lake? And do you know who's putting them in?
I have no idea, but I've noticed them all over, and I have mapped some of these spots as well. The worst damage I've seen is actually if you go back to where the old Gloucester Furnace Lake is at. There's like kind of like a causeway from the old cranberry bogs that goes out towards the Landon Creek. They cut through all the sphagnum moss and wetlands that are there, and it's pretty bad. I mean, they down trees and everything, and they just marked it up. I understand people want to ride mountain bikes and things like that, but there's already so many trails that are there. I don't understand why they have to cut more right through some of these sensitive areas. But no, I have no idea who's doing that, but I have noticed all the trails. It goes right through the area where I'm looking at too, south of the lake. They have orange dotted ones and they have a blue dotted one as well. The orange dotted one goes kind of south of the lake on both sides of that Young Road Trail. And then it goes also around Antwerp, and then on the west side of the Landon Creek, it goes all up and they cut through the root layer and some of the old dunes. You know, there's some paleo dunes back there. There's some really neat things ecologically. It's kind of sad. They really have probably cut.
That's why we're trying to figure out
miles of trails. It's a lot.
We're trying to figure out who's doing it because they didn't come to us to get permission to do it. They just went out and did it. So we're trying to find out who's doing it. Not that we don't want to allow the trails, but we want them to be done properly to enhance the foliage and to protect what's out there.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. If I see anybody, I'll try to talk to them and let them know, you know, this is approved. I haven't seen
Tell them to
that.
contact Keith, the mayor, Ryan, myself, somebody, so we can try to, get this done the correct way.
Yeah,
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
no problem. That's all I had. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else from the public with any comment?
If he has trash that needs to be addressed out there, he's more than, okay, I mean, send me an email, call me, send me pictures, give me location, we'll get it cleaned up. I don't want somebody to know that there's trash out there that we haven't seen. We can get it out there. We have equipment, we have trucks, we deal with it all the time. So my email's on the city website, email me and we'll get together and we'll get it cleaned up.
Awesome. Keith, is that Keith speaking?
It is, yeah, sorry.
Awesome, Keith. Yeah, I'll reach out. I really wasn't sure who to reach out for the trash pickup. You know, I know how busy your crew already is with public works. So I know ACUA was willing to help out as well. But if you're willing, I'll definitely send you some of these GPS locations that I've kind of tracked all these different piles of trash. The big one is a farm spool. It's right in the Landon Creek where this old dam is at, which is kind of like where all the old dunes are cut out. I don't even know what this old dam was from. Even the Historical Society isn't really sure what it was used for. But it's a huge farm spool. It's probably like 10 foot by 8 foot, right in the middle of the creek. That's the big one that would probably need to get pulled up. And then there's if you go along Young Road, kind of like where the compost pile's at, there's like some ruts in the road where there's some water holes and things. Right on the side, there's just all this like concrete rubble pretty much that's all scattered about. And then a little behind that is like a burned out metal bed frame, like a king size metal bed frame. That's really the three big items I think that like what we would probably need professional help with. It wouldn't just be able to volunteers get it out of there. But yeah, I'd be willing to help pull that spool out. That's going to be an adventure either way. That's going to be a good one.
Not a problem. Just let me know and we'll get it taken care of.
Awesome. I'll send you some email and some pics.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public with any comment?
This is Tracy, 314 Arago Street. I was just wondering if there's any updates on the bike path to the lake that's going to go along Philadelphia Avenue?
Yeah, we're waiting to coordinate the county's work with the state because we don't want to do the bike path and then have the county come around and rip up the road. They do have some bridges to repair and the road definitely has to be paved, but that may be, when is that? Did you hear anything about that, Ryan? I didn't talk to
When
you.
they were gonna actually do the paving.
Yeah,
Last time I was in a meeting, they were saying a year and a half out.
yeah, so we're just waiting to get coordinated with the county, but it is forthcoming.
One of the longer design elements was enhancing a bridge that's just past Moss Mill Road. That bridge was not, the walls and the abutments were not sufficient to accommodate pedestrian traffic. So it makes some major upgrades in the plan, how to sort of widen it a little bit and adjust the rails and get the correct heights and all that stuff. So that there was a pretty big coordination effort between the counties and the design engineer, which is not us. So.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? All right, motion has been made for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. 8 o'clock.